This is a PBS and NPR sports update. These are not real. Welcome to our Round 3 update.
Let's start off this week with some of your public media madness commentary. You've embraced your inner nerdness.
Sarah's Big Ideas says, any contest that pits Neil Tyson against the Lady Grantham is a contest worth voting in.
And Kenny Bentley says, just finished filling out my nerd bracket. I'm still torn between Peter Sagal versus Ira Glass.
From Amy Ogden, what nerds do during March Madness? I'm so happy this is a thing.
Me too.
It's great that public media fans are so willing to poke fun at themselves. You know, it's also bringing out people's competitive sides.
That's true of the competitors themselves as well.
Yes, the Lady Grantham herself tweeted, "What is a bracket and why am I in one?" She's actually been very vocal on Twitter. Others were not so enthusiastic about her appearance in Round 3.
That's right, Kathleen Adele says, it should be Bob Ross versus Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is voting for Dowager Countess, and why? Can't believe Bob was booted.
And Flying Lobster says, Downton fans, you're all dead to me. Hashtag Bob Ross for life, hashtag angry little trees.
That's life with a Y, just in case we're counting. But others defended her with simple mathematics.
Yes, Ms. Lier says, Nova host is less than the supernova of wit. A less than sign in your madness trash talk equals why we love public media fans so much.
In support of Peter Sagal, wait, asked followers for help, saying, there are only 11 hours of voting left in this round. Help us destroy our friends.
And Tom Silva and the This Old House team have been rallying hard to get out the vote in a huge struggle against Mr. Rogers. Tom Silva, TOH, says, welcome to my neighborhood. Now you better vote.
Look at his sweater. Love that guy.
You want to know what a good sport looks like? Ask This Old House.
But one thing we've definitely heard a lot of is how difficult it has been to make some of these choices.
True, Nikki May Smiles says, this PBS versus NPR madness is truly heartbreaking.
And Kerplunker says this WHYY March Madness pick is Sophie's choice. So cool.
Jay Gant fired off Peter Sagal versus Ira Glass. Once again, public radio has ripped out my heart and stomped on it.
Ugh, so sorry.
And even we had trouble keeping it together last week reading the results of the Mr. Rogers versus Bert and Ernie match. So to help everyone cope, we've invited an expert to offer advice on making difficult choices between two things that you love.
Dr. Dan Gottlieb, how do you deal with such traumatic decisions?
Well, you know, I list the pros and cons of both, and whichever one weighs heavier towards the pros, I choose. In my case, given my style, I listen to myself talk about it to someone else. I'll talk about choice A, and then I'll talk about choice B, and as I listen to myself, I know which one I'm leaning towards, so it's easy that way. But, you know, if it's two things I love, what could happen, really? You know, I'm going to enjoy whichever choice I make.
Thanks, Dr. Dan. Very helpful perspective.
And thank all of you from the Madness team for your online chatter and all those votes. We're in the home stretch.
I can barely contain myself, Indy.
Oh, that's gross, Bob.
No, this is gross. Terry Gross to be exact. And our hometown hero took on the incomparable Robert Siegel in Round 3.
Oh, so many close calls this week, and this was one of them. And when the dust settled, Terry edged out Robert to move on to Round 4.
A great fight from all things considered, and an exciting tournament run from Mr. Siegel.
Speaking of a great fight, no one dishes it out like the Countess.
Not so fast. It turns out someone does. Neil Tyson was an amazing opponent this round, and it was another squeaker.
But in the end, the lady loses to the man from Nova Science Now. Neil deGrasse Tyson moves on to the next round.
A lot of drama in that one. Fitting for a match involving a character from Downton Abbey.
But the drama didn't end there. Tom Silva's Cinderella story in this tournament has been amazing to follow. And this week, he hit his toughest challenge yet. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rogers.
Tom gave it everything he had. Mr. Rogers said very little because he is deceased.
What?
And in the end, the unstoppable Fred Rogers takes the win and moves on to the Final Four. We'll miss Tom. He was a great sport.
Things were somehow even more intense in arguably our marquee match of Round 3, Ira Glass versus Peter Sagal. Both could easily have gone on to win the entire tournament.
Yes, but with all votes counted, Peter Sagal's the one who will get that chance. He deep dished it out and took down the mighty Ira Glass Chicago style.
Amazing! And what a Final Four we're in for.
I literally have no idea how this is going to play out.
Bob, I'd like to bring up one final tweet before we go.
Shoot.
A name that I can't pronounce says, "Come on, PBS fans, let's show these NPR folks we know how to bring the tote bags. Good luck with that, I say."
Well.
This one hits at something I've been thinking about. In the end, regardless of who makes it to the final match, will the contest really become a battle of I Love TV versus I Love Radio?
Fascinating. And it makes for a truly unpredictable conclusion to a tournament that has been made fun by support from voters like you.
Vote early and vote often, as ever, for your favorite in round 4, the final 4, and the one that decides who will represent each side in the final round next week.
Voting for round 4 is live right now.
Support your favorite public media personalities, and we'll be back next week to announce the final match.
Wow.
I'm Vanandra Duran.
And I'm Bob Broccoli. Happy voting.
Doop, 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 doop.